Hey guys. Hi everybody that's coming on. Hello. It is Tuesday today. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for coming on and joining me for this. I'm doing a little Q&A session, so any questions that you have, feel free to ask those right below in the comments. We're talking about anything, whether it's life advice, relationship advice, spirituality advice, anything pertaining to any of those topics. Hey Monica. Anything that makes you feel like you want to pop in and ask a question, just drop it below in the comments. I'm happy to answer any of those. While I'm waiting for more people to come on, hey, everybody who are just joining us, I'm going to be talking about something that's really important for me, and that is the topic of self-care. I was diagnosed with cancer a few years back, and I've since healed from that cancer. But something that was really important for me on that journey was to understand that self-care is the most important thing you can do for your health, whether it's your mental health, your physical health, or your emotional health. We need to be prioritizing taking care of ourselves constantly. It's not something that you can push off and do another day. It can be hard with the number of things we have going on, like knowing that we have to take care of ourselves, that we have to work, that we have to show up for our partners, that we have to be so many different people all the time. But it is more important for you to take care of this vessel that you're in than anything else you do. Even as a parent, something that's important for me to bring up. So again, this is a Q&A session. Ask any questions that you have below in the comments. And I'm just going to let people come in and start to do that. Okay, so Milk and Cookies, FTW, hey, said, would love a glimpse of my past life. Okay, so something I want to teach you guys then on this topic is to start looking into your own past lives, because this is something we're all capable of doing. Every single one of you can see your past lives already. You just don't know it yet. We're all born with the brain capacity to tap into memories that have occurred before we were born, things that have come from other lifetimes. What happens is that we forget those over time. We forget what we experienced in our past lives, and our brains as children can't really comprehend the vast depth of what it is that our soul's been through. So what happens is we remember in little drips and drabs. We remember moments, we have glimpses, we have things that we're pulled to, but we don't have the full memories. And so if you want to tap into your past lives, there's a few things that you can do. The first one is start to look at the things that you were really interested in as a kid. One of my favorite ways to do this is to think about what you saw when you were a kid, or what you really were drawn to when you were a kid that really didn't make sense for you. Like, were you really drawn to ancient Egyptian artifacts? Did people give you gifts of things that came from a specific culture that made no sense? All of those different pieces. So start to look at the things that you were interested in, or even like what subjects in history class you were really alert for. Like if you were so into the French Revolution and every other kid in your class was falling asleep, that's probably because you've had a past life there. Let that indicator be a window in and start to think about what draws you to that time. Something else that I like to point out is that you can access your past lives on your own. Morning, Cindy. All you have to do is tap into what are called theta brainwaves. Your brain always has the information of your past lives in it. They're right up here. You just need to access them on your own. So what you're going to do is you're going to meditate, and you're going to get yourself into that theta brainwave state, which just means that you are so calm and so relaxed that you can access past life memories really easily. Once you get into that state, once your brain is really relaxed and your body's really relaxed, just ask yourself, either out loud or in your head, can you show me a memory from a past life? It might not happen the first time, it might not happen the second time, but as you continue to do it, that window to the unconscious is going to start to open, because the unconscious mind is kind of like a junk closet. It's there, the door is shut, but it's not locked. All you have to do is crack open the door and let whatever needs to spill out, spill out. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me go on to see what everybody else did. Okay, so I've tried doing guided YouTube hypnosis, but it doesn't work for me. You know, there's a difference between meditation and hypnosis, and this is really important for me to point out. When you're hypnotized, you are completely disconnected from your body. You are out of control of your life and of everything that you're experiencing. And so hypnosis is not usually the best tool for people, though it is a really powerful tool and extremely effective at getting you to your past lives. If you've experienced trauma before, it can cause your body to do some weird things. And so if you've been traumatized, your body wants to fight against hypnosis because it means that you're not going to have control of this vessel. You're not going to be in control of your body. And so your brain and your body are going to work to fight that hypnosis and do everything it can to stop you from getting there. Meditation is going to be a more powerful tool. Okay, so let me go on and see what else people have asked. If you're just hopping on, hey guys, asking any spiritual questions that you have or any life questions that you have, just pop them right into the comments. And I'm going to take them as they come, just kind of going in chronological order. Okay, let's see. Malaya, my boyfriend passed recently. Oh, my love, I'm so sorry. Okay, so when it comes to people who have passed, know that spirits are always with us. They're always with us, guiding us, taking care of us, staying within our energy. And some of those big moments that happen in our lives, the transitional times, like when we're born, when we're going to pass, any significant illnesses that we might develop, they're predetermined before we're born. These are things that we as souls signed up for before we got here. So I'm assuming your boyfriend was probably pretty young because you look really young. And so if that's the case, know and take comfort in the fact that this is something that his soul needed to do and signed up to do before he showed up and incarnated on this planet at this time. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to hurt less. It's not going to take the sting or the pain away. But that also means that if you guys are together, that it was meant to be when he was with you, because he's potentially a spirit guide or someone who is meant to be in your energy, helping you on your journey. And so start tapping into his energy when you feel ready. When you feel, I'm not going to say healed because you'll never really be fully healed from this, but when you start to feel comfortable and ready, start asking him for guidance. Start asking him for signs and things that he can do to show you that he's with you. Again, I'm so sorry. Let's see. Official Marie Jaden says, oop, I just lost you. Let me go back. Where'd we go? Jaden is my boyfriend, Dylan, lying to me about having feelings for Arwen. Okay, so I'm not going to answer this question, and there's a reason why. You know the answer, and I am going to teach you how to do this. If you've ever been on one of my lives before, this is a little technique that I love to do for myself and that I love teaching people how to do. It's called the Human Pendulum. If you have any question about your life, about decisions you should make, about whether or not you should trust your gut, if you should follow an opportunity, you're going to want to do the Human Pendulum because our bodies always know the right answer. So what you're going to do is you're going to drink a full bottle of water. I mean, like, chug that shit down. The reason why is because the body needs to move based on the water. It's going to move only if you're hydrated. So drink that water. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wait a couple minutes just to let that water really settle into your body. Then you're going to stand up with your feet about hip width apart. And you're going to start asking yourself some yes or no questions that you already know the answers to. This is to calibrate that pendulum of your body. So maybe asking the question, is my name blank? Fill in the name. So for me, I would say, is my name Danielle? What would happen is my body would swing either forwards, backwards, left, or right. It all depends on you and how you are calibrated. For me, yeses tend to be forwards, nos are back. And so I ask a bunch of yes or no questions. Is my name Danielle? Is my name Christine? I'll get a no. My body will swing back. Am I supposed to be going live today? Maybe my body will swing forward. Maybe that's why I joined in today. Maybe it swings back. No, I need to rest. I need to take care of myself. I'll ask a bunch of questions this way. And you can use this to ask yourself an answer to that question that you're asking me, which is my boyfriend lying to me about having feelings for someone else? Your body knows the answer already. When you're ready, ask yourself that question. Ask yourself and see which way your body swings. Is it going to move towards yes or towards no? Ask as many questions as you need to understand what might be going on and to get full and complete clarity on this topic. And feel free to do this now while we're on the live. I'm going to be doing this for a few minutes, so go ahead and do it. Let me know what comes up, and if there's more questions that come through for me to ask, I'll let you know what they are. Okay, let's see. Good morning. Okay, lately I've been so curious about past lives. Yeah. Was I famous? Was I good at an instrument? So here's a couple questions that I have since you're asking those. What does fame matter to you? Why is it something that's important? Very often when I do past life work, people tend to expect or think that they're going to see certain things. Like they're going to hope that they go back and find themselves in the Titanic, even though I don't know why you would want to, because that is fucking terrifying. And having taken so many people to see that in their past lives, it was not a fun experience. It does not seem as glamorous as it was in the movie, even though that itself sucked. Why do you want to be famous? What does it matter? What value do you place on fame? Or is it something you're just curious about? Like, can I find myself in a history book? And the other question I would ask is about playing an instrument. If that's something that you feel called to now, then maybe it's something you were called to before. We tend to carry over past life hobbies or expertise in things into this life. For instance, I've done shadow work in past lives. And so when I was able to tap into that from a past life, it came through like crazy for me here, where I knew exactly how to do it without having to be taught. Our past lives can give us different abilities, like the ability to sing or to speak in different languages. So it could be interesting to find out. I do have a recent video that shows you exactly how to tap into your own past lives, but the very short version of it is that you need to access your theta brainwaves. Meditate to the point where your brain and your body are totally coherent, and then just ask yourself to see them. Let what comes through need to come through. Okay, let's see. Hey, Kristen. Okay, Kristen said, I saw a TikTok about real Eskimo kisses. I saw that one too. And I realized I've been doing this to my kids. Maybe that's a past life memory. Could be something that was coming through. If anybody hasn't seen that video, it was extremely sweet. It's a mother and a daughter demonstrating how real Eskimo kisses are done, because the way that I guess Americans do it is just nose to nose. But what they show is it's kind of like a nose into the cheek rub. It's really sweet, really wholesome. And it's not something you would know unless it was something that you did in a past life or something that you were exposed to because of your ancestors passing that information down. So Kristen, it could be worth checking out. Okay, let's see. Do you do regressional life hypnosis? And do you know someone in San Diego that I can see? Okay, so the first half of that question is I don't do hypnosis. For all the reasons that I mentioned before, which is that when we're hypnotized, our bodies and our brains are disconnected. And from a trauma background, which is what I have, it's really, really bad to make anyone feel like they don't have control over their bodies. What we do instead is we meditate. You are in full control of everything that you're seeing. You are the one who is in charge. You're the one holding the reins. So that's extremely important if you have any trauma in your background, to make sure that you're working with someone who does not do hypnosis, because that could potentially re-traumatize you, make things worse. That is not to say that hypnosis isn't an amazing tool and really good for a variety of things, including past life work. It just depends on the person. But for me, because of my trauma background, I don't do hypnosis, just meditation. And again, that doesn't mean that we're not going to see a ton. You are going to experience the memories as vividly as if they happened to you yesterday. And I'll just get you to the point where you can see them. And then I'm going to hand the reins over to you and let you tell me what you see. I can also see the same thing. So if there's anything that you're missing, I can just gently nudge yourself towards what it is. Like if you're missing something right behind you, I can just ask you to turn around and tell me what you see. Just gentle guiding, because I want you to fully believe and understand that what you're seeing are memories. And then the second half of your question about San Diego, I don't, but I do work virtually. So I have clients all over the world. Currently in my Create Your Light Academy, which is my signature shadow work program where we do past life work and inner child work and everything that falls under that shadow work umbrella. I have people in Scotland in the group, Alaska, and all across the US. I have a lot of women who worked with me in the UK, lots of people from different countries, Beirut, Poland. It's just incredible that we have this ability nowadays to connect with people all over the world. Okay, next question. Thank you. Did I have children is the next question. Again, I would use the human pendulum to answer that question if you've had children in a past life. So if you missed it because you're just hopping on now, the human pendulum is a technique that I love where you drink water because your body needs to be hydrated and you ask yourself yes or no questions and your body moves based on the yes or no answers. So for me, I swing forward for yes and back for no. Some people swing left and right. Some people swing back for yes and forward for no. So you have to answer some questions for yourself that you already know the answer to just to calibrate it. So ask yourself your name, where you live, do you have kids now? Like questions you already know the answer to, and just see which way your body is drawn to move. It's wild. And then you can ask these questions that you guys have. Cindy said, wish I could say, love your lives. I will be back. So don't worry about it. I'll see you next time. Okay, Contrary Warrior says past life shadow work. Yeah, so shadow work by definition is anything to do with the unconscious mind. Past lives are part of the unconscious mind. It's stuff that is repressed within your brain that you are burying deep down. So unconscious mind includes past life work, inner child healing, womb traumas, generational traumas, ancestral traumas. They're all in there within the unconscious mind. And so through shadow work, we can access them. Shadow work is the tool that we use to get to the root of all of that and more. Hopefully that clears that up. Okay, is this where prodigies come from? Yes. So they perfected a skill and a talent in a previous life. They're born into this one already knowing how to do it. They already have a baseline understanding. They're not starting from scratch in the way that you would think. So let's just say Einstein passed away. Someone somewhere is Einstein. Someone still has his soul. And so whoever that is, if they're still tapped into that energy, is ridiculously smart and doing things that push the envelope of what is considered okay. Same thing with people like Beethoven or any scientist, any person, Susan B. Anthony, these amazing figures, their souls live on through us. So you can be born with that information, that knowledge. And if you tap into it, you become a prodigy. You're already starting from like level 100 versus starting from square one. Okay, do I recommend binaural beats? And if so, do you recommend any frequency? I do, and there's different frequencies for different reasons. So I'll give you a general overview of why I like them. Binaural beats, for anybody who has not heard about them before, are two different noises happening in your ears at the same time. You have to wear headphones to listen to them. And what happens is you have one noise in one ear happening at the same time as another noise in the other ear. And depending on which one you're listening to, you can YouTube some amazing ones. It causes a disconnect in the brain on purpose. It's called a dissonance. When this happens, one half of you is dropping one way, the other one is elevating another way. As you are experiencing those binaural beats, you're being forced into the unconscious mind. And so what we were talking about earlier with meditating to access theta brainwaves, you're just naturally going there. You're just opening up to the unconscious. So actually, I recommend that everybody listen to binaural beats all the time. What happens is it's like cracking open the door to the unconscious and letting things spill out, and you don't have to do any work to get there. Your past lives might start coming through. Moments from your childhood that you've forgotten will come back. It really is an amazing tool. I do have some favorites that if you guys send me a DM, I can send you the link for, but there's no specific frequency that I love. In fact, I like when people shift around and move into different ones because they're all going to have a different purpose. And depending on where within the unconscious mind something is hidden, different frequencies will unlock different memories. So I would suggest switching it up and trying different ones. Okay, let's see. How do I connect with my spirit guides to get an answer or a sign? I need to make an important decision. Okay, so this is an amazing question. When you want to connect with your spirit guides, all you have to do is create a reciprocal language for the two of you to use, or the team of them and you to use together. What you want to do is you want to tell them exactly how to show you that they're around. Spell it out for them. Make it easy. And so what you can say is, if I'm on the right track, show me dimes, heads up, put them in different places. Let me know that that is an indicator that I'm on the right track. Use them like breadcrumbs. And if I'm not on the right path, show me mushrooms, like actual mushrooms, photos of mushrooms in places, a cloud that looks like a mushroom, like just hit me with them from every direction. What you're doing when you spell it out that much is you're giving a universal language for you and your spirit guides to share. A lot of times people get confused with spirit guides because they don't speak the language. It's kind of like showing up in China, knowing nothing about the culture or the language and just expecting to know what everybody's saying and how to navigate world there. You can't. It's impossible. But if you studied beforehand, or if you had a translator and you were able to say, hey, translator, tell me what they're saying. Let me know what's going on. I'm looking for these things. They would act as an intermediary for you. Do that for yourself with spirit guides. Create a language for the two of you. Now, dimes and mushrooms, those just randomly came to my mind. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's some of you here that are watching this that are looking for those as signs. But otherwise, create your own. What do you want your signs to be? I would recommend choosing things that you wouldn't normally see. Like, don't say, I don't know, if you see deers on your property all the time because you live in the woods like I do, deers are not a good sign because you're going to see them all the time. Ask for something that's a little offbeat, something that you're not going to come across on a daily basis, and question whether or not what you're seeing is true. You can also ask for specific numbers, but this one again kind of hits me in a weird way because if you're expecting to see 1111, naturally at like 11 o'clock, you're going to start looking at your clock and just checking it out because you want to see 1111, not because you're supposed to. It's when you're naturally pulled to look up and you had no reason to look up and you see that 1111 in front of you on someone's house because that's their house number. That's when you're getting the true sign. So pay attention to those things and create that language for you guys to share. Okay, let's see. I just read Dolores Cannon. That's why I asked. Dolores is awesome, and her work with hypnosis is life-changing. I would definitely recommend anybody who hasn't looked into Dolores Cannon or into Dr. Michael Newton to check them out to see what they have to say about some of this stuff because they were revolutionaries. They've changed the scene around this stuff. Okay, lots of trauma over this way. Hi, Ashley. If that's true, then shadow work is what you need to be doing. Take this as a sign that shadow work, it's time to start getting on it. Okay, virtual work, I'm older and not very technically savvy. Yep, I understand. I've worked with a lot of people ages 70, 60, like people who are not really great with computers. I can walk you through it ahead of time to make sure that it's seamless. Trust me, it wouldn't be the first time I've done that before, but you deserve to work with people who really understand how to help you achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. This is why I do it, just for the occasional you're awesome comment. Let's see. I'm a nice person, but please, those are, thanks. Let's see. Thank you for sharing. Listening to what? Sorry, I just joined. You probably stepped in when we were talking about binaural beats. If you've never heard of binaural beats before, they're two different noises happening at the same time. What will happen as you listen to them is it'll trip your brain into the unconscious mind and you can access things like your past lives. You can access the unconscious and you can fully start to shift your reality by doing that. I have so many that I would recommend. So pop into my DMs after this. Do we call them DMs on TikTok? Pop into the messages and ask me for recommendations. I'm happy to send some over that I love from YouTube. I find random times all the time. There might be a reason for that. That might be spirits trying to show you a sign. You know, a lot of the time, spirits will send us signs and we just kind of miss it. We just pass them by. We don't realize that they're there. We're not connecting with those signs because we don't realize that's what they are, so we blow them off. I know that I used to do this a lot. Once I put two and two together and recognized what they were, I realized that it really was like breadcrumbs trying to lead me down certain directions and certain paths. So telling spirit guides what it is that you want to be looking for can really clear up a lot of that confusion. You can also ask the Human Pendulum, that technique that we learned earlier, if certain things are signs. Like if you feel like spirit guides are sending you feathers and you have this feeling, but you can't really back that up, ask the Human Pendulum. See what happens when you get that yes or that no. Does it feel like it is a yes? Does it feel like it's a no? Whatever it is, check in with your body and get an answer. Kimberly says, I have a pendulum, have researched how to use, told not to ask about future jobs or others, etc. Yeah, a lot of people have different feelings about pendulums. The technique that I taught earlier is the human pendulum. It's about your body, because your body already knows the answers to things that you should be doing. But this is kind of a future-focused question. I have a lot to say on this. So before I do, for anybody that's joining us live for the first time, this is a Q&A, so any questions that you have about spirituality, pop them below in the comments. Okay, so Kimberly, when it comes to future-focused things, here's kind of how that works. We all have potentials. We all have a vast number of pathways that we can take forward in our lives. Big, huge moments have been predetermined, like the moment of our birth, potential ways that we could die. They've been decided for us by us before we showed up here. But when it comes to the other things, like let's just say you were meant to be an author that writes works that are going to change the way we see reality. Let's just say that's what you're supposed to do. You might never do that. You might actually follow a different path and become a soccer coach for a college team and live a really happy life and never achieve that thing. It doesn't mean your life is going to be bad. It doesn't mean you're never going to hit your potential. It just means you took a different path because that was a potential option laid out in front of you. We all have an amazing number of future potentials laid out in front of us. There are a few that are for the highest and greatest good of ourselves and of the collective. And those paths are the ones that our spirit guides really want us to be on because they're the ones that our souls decided before we got here we wanted to be on. And so our spirit guides will nudge us in those directions. Our pendulums, whether it's a human pendulum or a pendulum itself, will nudge us in those directions. But it's up to us to take actionable steps to get there. When it comes to predicting the future, psychics can get it really wrong because whatever path you're on today might not be the path you're on tomorrow. Let's just say, for instance, you watch this and you decide, okay, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start reading those books she was talking about earlier by Dolores Cannon and by Dr. Michael Newton. Picking up those books is an adjustment. You've now left the path you were going to be on that took you down the trajectory to become that soccer coach. And you're going to move onto a path where you really start to think about what would happen if you go inwards. What would your life look like if you started to think about the whole universe differently? Now your pathways have shifted. You're on this path, but you're more inclined to move on to these paths. When this happens, your life changes drastically. And so psychics can predict your future as it is today, but they might miss the mark with the potential realities that could occur. This is the reason why when people say don't ask pendulums future focused things, it's because they know that you are on a certain path today, but you can easily leave that path tomorrow. However, and this is unfortunate, but it's true and statistics back this up, most people do not change. Most people do not change. 90% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions are the same today as they were yesterday, and as they were the day before that, and the day before that. We as humans like the idea of change, but we very rarely take the steps and take the actions to change. The reason why is because we're afraid. We're afraid of what would happen if we changed. Like if I lost 40 pounds, maybe that would change the way people look at me. Maybe people would think I'm just another stupid blonde white girl who talks about stuff that she knows nothing about. They would make an assumption about me. I don't know if that's true, but that might be a fear that I have. That might be something that's buried deep down. And so the weight becomes a cushion, it becomes something that makes me feel safe. When we hold on to things in our mind, whether it's conscious or unconscious, which for the record, most of the time it's unconscious, we can't process those emotions and feelings and behaviors in that way because we don't have clarity on where they're coming from. That dictates our lives. It dictates us staying stuck. And we remain in the same place over and over again, day in and day out. It's up to you to choose change. It's up to you to do the inner work to get down into there, to figure out what your triggers are, why they're triggering you, why you're staying the same. Why is it that you keep choosing to feel stuck? And when you do that, you can start to wiggle around and move because you can override those feelings. Anyways, that was a really long-winded way of answering that question. I hope it helped. Okay, let me see. Circle means yes. For a pendulum, yes. How would I know if my sister who has passed is leaving me signs? Well, the first thing you can do is ask the human pendulum, which we talked about before. But the other thing is you could just close your eyes and ask yourself. You all have the answers within you. And so if you close your eyes and you take a really deep breath and you just let your whole body feel a little bit like it's melting, like everything is calm and you're relaxed, you can ask yourself any question. And when you think about this for a second. Most of the time when you think, you're getting answers in your head. Your subconscious is speaking to you from up here. When you get answers from your gut, where it almost feels like they're coming up your body, they're moving their way up, that's answers from spirit guides and from something deeper, your intuition, your higher self. And so you can ask yourself a question and wait for the answer to come up your body. Is my sister sending me signs? If you get a yes, that feels like it's guttural, like it's coming all the way up, that's a yes. But I would assume if you have a sister that passed, that she's absolutely sending you signs, because spirits want to send us on different paths. They want us to know that they're around, and they want to be able to nudge us in directions. We don't change that much from when we're alive to when we're dead. We're still us. That doesn't alter, that doesn't change itself. And so if I'm a nosy older sister, if I die, I'm going to keep being a nosy older sister. I don't want to nudge my siblings in the direction I want them to go in, because that's what I always did and what I will continue to do after I pass on. Hopefully that helps. Okay, next question. Have you done breath work as a form of meditation? Is there a breathing pattern that works well for you? Yes, I love breath work. Breath work is a powerful tool to access deeper levels of consciousness. I have a few that I really love. One that I'll teach you guys right now. It's actually from Kundalini. It's a Kundalini breathwork pattern, or I guess it's a breathwork pattern that Kundalini adopted, but either way. It's called Breath of Fire, but the way that I do it is the traditional Kundalini way, where my arms are up in a V position and my hands are like this. Hope you guys can see this, right? My thumbs are pointing towards each other and my arms are up in a V. So that if I were to pull them together, it's like my thumbs are pointing at each other. What I do is I close my eyes and I breathe in this breath of fire pattern for 3 minutes. Breath of fire are really shallow, deep breaths in and out. What you're doing is you're really forcing the belly to expand and contract as you do this over and over again. Quick movements. You want the whole belly to come out and in. You're not breathing into your chest. You're breathing into your diaphragm. When you do this, what happens is all those shitty things you say to yourself all the time, all your ego thoughts, all the worst things you think about yourself are going to pop into your head. Now, why would you do that, right? That sounds awful. When you do this every day, the voice gets less. It starts to go away. And so when I do this over and over again, like let's just say I practice this Kundalini Kriya, which is called the Ego Eradicator, every day for 7 days, by the time I hit day 7, there's nothing really coming up. It's like, you should wear different pants tomorrow is the worst thing I'll say to myself. Meanwhile, on day 1, it's like, you sucked in high school tennis. No one should have let you on that team. Like really like weird things come up that you didn't realize you were holding on to. And yeah, I did suck in high school tennis, but I don't really care about that. You guys get the gist. What we're doing when we do this is we're allowing all the worst things we think about ourselves to come up, and we're just letting them be. We're not overthinking them. We're not fighting them. We're acknowledging them and then just letting them go. I imagine as I'm doing breath of fire that it's like I'm blowing those thoughts away. Like every time I inhale and I exhale, I'm forcing it out of my aura, out of my energy field so that I can release it fully. Practice this Kundalini Kriya every day for 40 days if you want to see some really powerful changes and you want to feel deeper peace all the time. Similarly, sometimes I'll practice breath of fire while I'm laying down, not doing anything like that. What I'll do is, this is hard, I'm not going to lie to you. For 15 minutes, I'll practice breath of fire while lying down. And what will happen when I do that is any emotions that are stuck in my body will come out. I'll burst into tears. I'll get moments of rage. Anything that is stuck in my energy field will be forced out by doing that. And you have to do it for the full 15 minutes because you really need to give your body the time to release it. Breath work is a powerful tool. Breath of fire is one of my favorites. Okay, Angel Hair says, my sister sends dimes. That's beautiful. Thank you. I don't get dimes and can't really pinpoint what signs I get yet. Well, Lore, if you're listening to this, and I brought up dimes multiple times, and Angel Hair has also brought up dimes, I would ask your sister for dimes, because it sounds like she is edging you into that. You might be missing a sign that's already there. So let yourself really take this moment to see that dimes keep coming up for a reason, and use the human pendulum to verify that. Okay, moving back now. Could our spirit guide be a version of ourselves, either from the past or the future? Abso-fucking-lutely. I see this all the time. Okay, so let me start this with a caveat. Most of the time, your past life self is like somebody who was like a humble servant who didn't really do much. Maybe you were like a shoemaker, like a cobbler, living in the UK in the 1600s. Like, most of the time, it's pretty humble. Every once in a while, you have a version of yourself, either in the past or in the future, that is a boss, that they're amazing. They have it all together. Like, they figured this whole life thing out. And when that happens, that version of ourselves can be on our spirit guide team. And you can tap into them once you know that they're there. You can actually access them and pull from their gifts to help you in this life. It's something I've done with clients 100 times. Something I do for myself a lot. There's 2 past lives in particular that I pull from a lot and rely on those spirit guides like crazy, because they're amazing. When you can do that, it's powerful. And the same thing goes with future focused versions of yourself. Time as we know it is not real. Time is not linear. Instead of thinking about time almost like it's flat and like it happens in this really linear fashion, think about time almost like it's stacked up on top of itself. And so if you're up here, you can just kind of pop in and pick up from an older version of you. And that goes for your future self, where you can just kind of pop up and pull from them. It goes for past versions of you. It's the reason why manifestation works. When we're manifesting, we are pulling from a future version of ourselves. If you guys were on this talk earlier, and we were talking about the idea that you have all these different potentials. You have different pathways you could take. There's a pathway that's better for you, of course, but there are other pathways you can take too. When we manifest, we're essentially saying, I want that pathway that looks awesome. I want the one that is for my highest and greatest good, and I want it to show up now. So what we're doing is we're taking this very stacked up version of time, and we're looking at the top level and going, yeah, I want to pull that here. I want to bring that down to where I am now. And so when you do that, you're going to start looking like you do in that future version of you. You're going to start feeling like you do in that future version of you. And you're going to start taking opportunities to get you there faster that present themselves because you're looking for them. All you have to do is have that awareness. Time is not linear. So yes, 1,000%. How long do you do breath of fire? It depends on what activity I'm doing. So the 2 that I told you guys about, if it's that Kundalini Kriya, the ego eradicator, 3 minutes. Hands are in a V, thumbs are pointing towards each other, arms are up in that V shape, and you're doing it for 3 minutes with your eyes closed. If you're doing it to rid the emotions from your body, lying down somewhere comfortable, breath of fire with your eyes closed, arms by your sides for 15 minutes. Hope that helps. Let's see. She was definitely the nosy older sister. Oh, then she's still around. Yeah, she's not going to let you go. A fallen angel says, I lost my mom. Anyway, I can get a sign from her. Oh, baby girl, this is a sign. If you're here on this call right now, that is a sign. All we're talking about is how to connect with spirit guides, which means she wants you to see this. She wants you to know that you are guided, that you are led, that she is with you all the time. So all you have to do is trust that. Let yourself know that she is with you. And if you want to, start asking her for specific signs. Start asking her to show you that she's with you in a very precise way, like sending turtles to you. Maybe it's through pictures, maybe it's through like little ceramic turtles. One time I asked my aunt, who passed away this past December, for white birds, because there's no white birds where I live. Like, you really don't come across them. And the next day I went to the nail salon, which I never do. In this nail salon. When you ask for the signs, they will come. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm going to need to stop you guys right here, but I love you all so much. If you liked what you saw, make sure you follow me. I have lots of good content coming about all these topics, and feel free to ask me any questions in those so I can make a video for you. Bye, everybody.